All right. Welcome and thank you. This is going to be a quick stream. Just wanted to get there, get live, get consistent in coming out and putting myself out there. I'm Shawn Richey. I am your People First candidate for District 49, Kaneohe, and Maunawili. It's been just such a great experience going door to door, reaching out to people, making those connections, getting things going. So blessed to have many different people who are always just stepping up and giving me, things to do. And that's what I'm best at, is if you give me things to do, I will do it. And, campaigning, putting myself out there to ask people unsolicited for things, that's not really my MO. I'm more of let me show up and help you, let me outwork, let me, prove myself in that way. I've always been very respectful in making sure that I understand what's going on before I dive in, and then I dive in to learn, and I try to listen, and then I'll give my feedback to keep going. I'm really not somebody with an ego who needs to have the spotlight on them. So it's very interesting for me to put the spotlight on myself for this campaign, but it is the name of the game. It is how things are in politics currently. Again, if it was up to me, I don't really care what my representatives look like, so long as they're working hard for me, they are getting things done, and that's who I want to be. But again, this is the world we live in, so I go out there. I'm about 6'3", 250 pounds. I knock on their door. I'm sure last thing they're thinking is a politician. So I wear the leis, and I just try to smile through them and just connect. And most people are just so great and so gracious, and had some wonderful conversations today. Because I'm tall, I get to help people with certain things. I helped pick some high up papayas today for someone in Kaneohe, and was just blessed by that experience. I got to see some old friends and connect with them, and this is really just what I feel I'm supposed to do. I always say I don't know that I'm meant to be in office right now. I hope I am. I'm doing everything I can to be there, but that's not up to me. That's up to the voters. But I know that I'm meant to do this. I know that I'm meant to share the message and really help to get it out there. And the message for tonight is about this next generation. And I'm not pointing any fingers. That's not what this is about. This is just about, again, we can do better. It doesn't matter, about fixing the blame. It's about how we can, fix our mind on healing things and making things better for the next generation especially. But my generation, grew up with 9/11, grew up with, the housing crash in 2008. It grew up with the kind of turmoil of politics from these different, people who were lifted into that celebrity politician status. Some of them literally celebrities. And so we've kind of watched and seen all of this happening, and meanwhile, cost of living here has gone through the roof. Made a video earlier today about my upbringing, a little bit of background there. Please, again, like and subscribe. Check out those videos. You can hear a little bit more. But even though me and my wife are frugal, even though I saved up a lot from my deployment and from my time in the military, when we came back home and had to look for a place, it was just a very rude reminder that young people really can't survive in Hawaii right now, especially with the way that jobs are set up. A lot of times, if you want something that is going to sustain you here in Hawaii, you have to go to the mainland. You have to get a good paying job there. You have to establish yourself, make a name for yourself, and then you can lateral over back home for less pay. just to make it. There's no real platforms, there's no real runways for local people to get into those high paying jobs. That's the way that it's been. And so when I came back, it was like, oh man, my background was in marketing and advertising. There's such a small marketing and advertising community out here. And it was just going to be, crazy hours as well. So I was blessed to find my way into government and into government jobs, and understanding what that was, leverage my military experience, and again, I found a good, decent paying job. But even for the job that I ended up getting, I had to be an 89-day hire, because if you look at a lot of the qualifications for these jobs, you're only going to qualify if you've been in that job or, a identical job somewhere else. And that's just not really practical or available here. So many people like myself have to go into this temporary hire status, even though we're qualified to do the job, in order to get time in the name of that job to qualify for it. And so, I had to go through all of those struggles. That's a terrible barrier that a lot of people have to go through and fight through. And even with all of that and getting, that stable job and whatnot, the only way that we could provide a real home for my kids, and again, we didn't need that. We were looking at 2-bed 1-bath places, but my parents were still in my childhood home in my grandparents' house, and I wanted to get them out of there as well. So we ended up having to buy a house with my parents in order to afford that home for my kids. And again, we're so blessed to have that. My kids are so lucky to grow up where they are, but the point is, that's the only way you can do it here. The only way you can get by, unless you have family money, is to live multi-generational. And so a lot of friends I know had to live with their parents for a super long time in order to save up that little nest egg. Some of them still living with their parents, saving up that nest egg. And, at the end of the day, all of that is going to get them a studio, a 1-bedroom, as prices go up and up and up. It's really concerning. And especially for my kids, and, my kids are the greatest blessing in my life. But a lot of people, when we were having them, were like, why would you bring kids into this world? And it's like, no, it's not that bad. Come on. We're going to do good. I'm always an optimist. And now, just with some of the way things are going, I was like, wow, okay, you know what I mean? We made that decision. We got to fight hard for it. And that's part of why I'm running for office, is I'm going to fight hard for it, being respectful, using my gifts, being empathetic, listening to people, putting myself in their shoes, really putting Kama'aina and Kanaka first. How can we do better for the roots, right? For the people who grew up in this culture. We have a little, our postcard, I got one right here, a little postcard that goes around for everybody. And on the back, in my running for the right reasons, I talk about the type of people that are in Hawaii. And there's the people who come to your house, they bring a gift and they take off their slippers. And there are the people who come to your house, you have to tell them to take off their shoes, and they take a to-go plate. And I want my kids to grow up being people who take off their shoes and bring gifts, and again are respectful and giving. And unfortunately, I see a lot of even the baseline of Hawaii getting that selfishness mentality, losing some of that respect that I just like. That's why we came home to have our kids here. I wanted my kids to grow up in that respect, and it's not gone. It's just weakened right now, as I think society and technology and all these things kind of push this kind of me first, this ego. I even though I did multimedia, social media marketing in college as an account manager, and I understand the mechanisms, I always stayed away from social media because to me, it is it gets rid of a lot of empathy. And that's just such a huge part of who I am is, when I meet you, I want to put myself in your shoes. I want to connect with you. I want to understand you so that I can best support you. And when you're on social media, you can't really do that, right? I know some influencers who, if you looked at their feed, you're like, man, this person is the happiest person in the world. And then you talk to them sometimes and, it's anything but. And so jumping back into social media, that's why all my social medias are kind of small. I don't want to be on social media. I want to connect with people, and part of that is meeting them where they're at, and they're in these places, and then meeting them where they're at, having these conversations, and then hopefully building safe places where there's a nice balance and we can go there. So getting back to my point, those things are changing. That's why I'm standing up. I want to make things better. I know that we can tackle this affordable housing. We can tackle a lot of these issues that are facing, but not with the same old rhetoric, not with the same old formula. It has to be different. And why not have the formula be people first? That's what it's meant to be. That's what the first stream I did, and we talked about the Constitution of Hawaii and the preamble in which I think it's the first article in which it says that all power in our government is derived from the people. And I believe that. And again, I raised my hand to defend that from threats. I raised my hand to run for office and support it to the best of my ability as a candidate. And then I took it that next level and made a supplemental oath, my People First pledge, just to really dial in and make sure that it's clear that's my intention. That's what I'm running for. It's none of this other stuff. I'm running to put people first, for my kids, for your kids, for our communities, and just to really start to change the conversation to how are we investing in our communities? How are we staying connected to our communities? And then how are we making things better for our communities? Because that's what really matters. So, I'll go and people will ask me about national issues, and I can always give you my perspective, but I have to say that's not where my heart is. My heart is in Hawaii. My heart is in Kaneohe, in my community. Extending out to Maunawili, absolutely. I'm so excited to have them in there as well. Both of my kids went to daycare out in Maunawili. It's just a beautiful area. And I'm so blessed to be here and to be the candidate for representation, but we cannot, it's nothing is given, and I don't have big money. I won't take endorsements from certain arenas. And so that puts me in an uphill battle, and that's okay, because I've always loved the underdogs, and I am an underdog in a lot of ways, and I like that because, again, it keeps me working harder, keeps me coming back stronger, and that's what makes this all so interesting, and again, why I'm just so blessed to be out here and running. And I got to do a training this morning. We are training people. We are collecting people to help out with canvassing, help out with sign waving, help out with events and admin. So please, if you see this, if you want to be a part of it, please reach out. I did a training today with a couple of my really good friends, and one of them, I was doing it on Zoom, and they were just like, this is so you, because I'm such a multi-level thinker and multitasker, and I like to get things done. And so I was sharing with them about how while I'm running, I want to do this stream cleanup, do this community cleanup, because even if I don't get into office, at least I left things better than I found it, if we can get that done. So hopefully meeting with the city people this week, bringing that out. I'm not expecting the city to come out and do it, although I am going to encourage it for some of the other streams, because they're all in disrepair. But we're likely going to do a community cleanup, open that up. I've already had certain people reaching out and saying, hey, yeah, I can donate this or that. And then we're going to just collect and come together as a community, get that done. And I just think it's such a beautiful vision in my head of, a lot of people will run for office and say, if you elect me, I'll do this. And for me, it's like, I saw it, I see it, and it's like, we got to get it done. So it just is beautiful to me if I can get in there and, really knock this thing out, do something while I'm running. That just makes me smile. And it was just so reaffirming for my friend to be like, that's totally on brand for you. And in a lot of ways it is. Again, I'm a free thinker, I'm a free speaker, but at the end of the day, I'm deeply empathetic, and I am extremely structured in needing to understand something before I go and approach it and speak on change. So when they have, these ideas, again, I can give my perspective from where I am now, but I'm always going to reach out to the people. I'm always going to reach out to the community leaders. I'm always going to look to learn first, listen, and speak to learn before I lead, before I jump in there. But I'm not afraid to, and I'm very solution oriented. And again, how can we get the little things done? Even in project management in the government, I was always looking for agile projects. And if you don't know what an agile project is, it is they do any project in these 2-week sprints. So for 2 weeks, your goal is to build this. And this is functional on its own. It's a standalone thing, but it fits into the larger project that we're doing. So the idea is every 2 weeks, you complete something, you build a gear, whatever you want to do, right? And so if the project stops, at least you have a useful gear. It has to, it has to be something productive. It cannot just be something that has no use on its own. And then, once you build enough of those sprints together, you can have the final picture of whatever product it is, instead of the traditional waterfall approach in which everything is kind of going for the end of the rainbow. And if anything stops it, then it's all the money's wasted and it's useless. And it just, people get like, okay, we have to go to the end, even though it's over budget, even though the technology's outdated now, we have to go and finish it, because otherwise we've wasted all this money, even though kind of wasted it anyway. And so I really like that agile thinking. I really like, okay, yes, here's a huge win, but I don't need a home run. Let's get on first base, right? Let's get that first thing done. Let's get that out of the way as best we can. And then we can move on to the next and get that done. And I like getting things done. I like, again, solution-oriented conversations. When it comes to these talk stories, when it comes to these town halls, I really like the idea of, I want to spend some time discussing the problems, hearing out people on the problems, identify maybe 2 or 3 of the major problems that everyone has, and then talk on those 3 and just give me your positions. Where are you at on these, right? Where are you at on these problems? Listening to people, hearing their positions, and then finally spend the last third. Okay, we've heard the positions. What are solutions that we can do? Kind of Venn diagram. Where's the part in the middle where we can get something done? Because a lot of people are just so entrenched. I'm over here, you're over here, we're not going to move. And again, there's no progress in that. We're not getting things done. We're just screaming at each other. You know what I mean? We're debating when we need to be taking action. We're educating when we need to be inspiring people to take action. And I just feel like if we don't do it now, if we don't seize on this moment, if we don't do things the right way, put people first, heal from the last couple of years, give the next generation something to inspire them, something to put that fire in their belly to stay here, to innovate, to make things better, not feel like, oh man, like I gotta get out of here because there's no way I can afford it, which is just all too often. And again, having these young kids, seeing the way inflation is going, housing prices are going, all the costs of living, it's now. And so sorry if this isn't the image, not the hero that you thought you wanted, but I promise that investing in me is a worthy investment. Voting for me this August 13th is it's what we need to do, because if we keep electing more of the same people who are in that same cloth of, trying to climb the ladder for status and become that celebrity politician, right? And then once they climb the ladder, then they can do the change. We haven't seen that. Just doesn't. It's just that's a loser's game. And so we need people who are gonna come in, be strong voices for people, stand up for people, and ask the right questions. And again, do it with the respect. That's the number one thing. Is I think a lot of this could be taken out of context if you don't understand Hawaii, if you don't understand the respect that I talk about earlier, where you take off your shoes, you humble yourself, you listen to your elders, you know what I mean? And again, if they're saying things you don't like, then you grow from it, right? And you still push. And again, I'm an innovator, so I'm always gonna push. And again, I don't need to push things further or this or that. It's not about that. It's about, again, aligning the people and the government, because right now they do not feel aligned to me. I'm not seeing it in the streets. People are either disconnected or they're disgruntled. And that's really a shame, because we have such a beautiful place. We have such beautiful people, such giving people who want to see things be better. I will sometimes talk to people and they'll be like, man, government sucks, or this and that. And I'm just like, no. It's a bureaucracy, you know what I mean? And the wheels of change turn slow, but to me, it does care about people. It's just, again, right now we're a little off of that, which is why I want to push it right back. I want to realign it to people first. And I think that if we got people first, we're living in such a great time. There's so much technology. There's so much opportunity. We have the best place on the planet. It's our responsibility to Malama Aina. We have to be those stewards of it. Or we, again, have to show our respect to the Kanaka, to the roots of the culture that are here. And then, again, just make sure that we're looking to that next generation. We're making it affordable. We're doing what we have to do to really step up and be a part of something greater than ourselves. And that's what I'm doing. I've said it a bunch of times, but I'll say it as much as I can. There's some of these, I call them Shawnisms. I call them, my affirmations, the way I live my life, whatever you want to say it. And one of the big ones is, you can't let your problems get bigger than you. You have to get bigger than your problems. And I will tell you, I am stretching and growing in such major ways to meet this moment. I know I have the intelligence. I know I have the heart. I know I have the willpower. But the sheer stretching and just amount of growth you need to run in politics, put yourself out there, do all these things. It's such a grateful experience. I'm so happy to be doing this and be a part of this, but it is a lot, and I do need help. And I really, if you're watching this, if you've watched, please reach out. Just connect. Just get on a phone call with me. Get on a Zoom call with me. Let me sell it. Email me your toughest questions. VoteShawnRichey@gmail.com. Let's jump on something. I promise I'll listen. We'll work for that center of that Venn diagram, and just let's go. Again, all I can do is put these out there. So I'm gonna end this stream. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to my family. Thank you to all of the wonderful people I get to talk to. Everyone who takes their time out of their day to smile at me. Whether you're gonna vote for me or not, you listen, you smile, you wish me well. And I really do hope that I win you over. I hope that we're ready for change. And I hope that we're committed to putting people first, because I love this place. We have to do it. Too many good people are leaving. Too many good people have lost their businesses. Too many good people have been hurt the last couple of years. And it's time for some healing. It's time for some, again, realigning. And I know I'm the right person for Kaneohe Manawili. So let's go. Thank you. Take care. Stay safe and be well.